Hello, 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 beautiful unicorns. Welcome back to Get Your Shit Together with Yana Kasperczak podcast. And today you're tuning into yet another amazing episode of our special series, Your Journey of Becoming, where real women share their messy, their unfiltered middle part of becoming who they're meant to be. And we're not going to be talking about just the highlight reels. There's going to be in-depth conversation about the real things that they have dealt with and perhaps are dealing with right now, because it's really about a reminder for all of us here. And this is honestly why I started this series of the podcast, is to keep going, and that all of us are meant to live our dream life. But in order for us to get there, we need to recognize that it does not start when everything is perfect, when everything is great. It really starts when we have had enough of the mediocreness and are ready to do everything it takes to finally get our shit together and go from surviving to thriving. So today I'm sitting down live with Karey Harris. I have brought her back here for the official Get Your Shit Together series. And Karey is a speaker. She's an educator. She's a leadership coach and a host of Wheat Fields Wisdom and Whiskey podcast. And after navigating her own season of rebuilding, she is passionate about helping women rediscover who they are, helps them to trust themselves again and create lives filled with purpose, filled with freedom, and the best one is possibilities. Through authentic storytelling, she decades in leadership experience, Karey inspires women to embark on reinvention and embrace that reinvention and lead with confidence. And remember that becoming isn't about changing who you are, it's about returning to who you have always been. She believes every woman deserves a life that feels as extraordinary on the inside as it looks on the outside. And I actually love that part, Karey. And I wanted to talk just a little bit on that. And I think this would be a great way to start, because most people, this is like an example of so many people, women that I personally have known. And I was one of those women where everything looks perfect. Like you have the perfect house, you have the perfect family, you have the perfect hair, you have the perfect outfit, the perfect earrings, by the way, beautiful, and you have
Thank
perfect
you.
everything, and yet you are miserable and dying on the inside. I lived like that for more years than I can admit to,
Mhm.
or because I'm not even fully aware of how long I lived that way, because it just one day you wake up and all of a sudden everything is just backwards. So for you, what would you say, like, where did that come from for you? I'd love to know a little bit of that story, because it comes from a story,
Well, there's so many stories,
right?
right?
So
There's so
start with one.
many. I think as women, we all have an inner knowing and we have a guidance system. And when we ignore that system, because we know it, when we ignore it, we start suppressing who we really are. And so to your point about, what it looks like on the outside, you can have all of the checklist. But if on the inside it's not in alignment, or you're not living with authenticity or integrity, it still can look great on the outside. But inside, it doesn't feel so great. And I call that the death. I mean, really, when you are not in alignment with your purpose, with your calling, with who you are, things start to feel heavy. And we know those things.
Hmm.
But whether we're programmed because of society, whether we're programmed because of old belief systems, or we're just in a logical brain saying, oh, I can't do that, or that shouldn't be that way, we
Yeah.
start turning that off instead of tuning it up. So it's really important to tune up the inner knowingness because that influences everything else outside. So it does start with how we feel on the inside. And you can mask everything you want to, and you can live like that. I know women that are living like that right now
Yep, so
because
do I.
they're too afraid to tell the truth.
Yeah.
The truth is, maybe I don't like my job. Maybe I feel like I'm meant for more. Actually, maybe my marriage isn't even in alignment with me anymore. Or
Right.
maybe something's happened in a relationship and I'm staying anyway because that's what I'm supposed to do, or I'm too scared to do. So instead of, what I call claiming your, you end up sort of giving it away because of what life has happened. And I think we get to these points where and I think I'm in the place of two right now. So I think you sometimes are reinventing
Mm-hmm.
because reinvention is a choice. That's what it
Yeah.
feels like to me. It's like I'm choosing. I want to reinvent. I want to be better at this. I'm going to take this course. Maybe I want a promotion at work, whatever it is, or I want to reinvent something in my marriage or my relationship or my friendships, my physical health, all the things, health,
Mm-hmm.
wealth, money, all the things we talk about. But then there's a part that's rebuilding.
Yeah.
And rebuilding is different to
Yeah.
me because rebuilding is something has happened and maybe you don't have a choice and you have to rebuild.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a congruence of the two, which is where I kind of feel like I am right now. I'm sort of reinventing and rebuilding at the same time. And I've been doing it for a couple of years now. And I don't think it's a journey that's ever really going to end. But I
Yeah.
think women really do need, and not just women, just human beings in general, really need to just speak their own truth. Because when you do that, everything in your life changes. But you have to be prepared for the change. Because
Yeah.
when you speak your truth, sometimes it means you have to let go of the things that you thought were going to be your forevers, or
Yeah.
maybe the things that you were just too scared to claim. So I feel now like even when I read back, even when you read back about what I was saying, I believe all those things I said are true. I feel it's a revealing. It's not even a returning. It's almost like you
Mm-hmm.
reveal pieces of you of who you are, and then you can come back to what you know is truth. And that's the wisdom we all have. And I think we just don't spend a lot of time in that because as women, I mean, typically, and I'll just say typically, you start your life, it might be linear, and we think it should be linear. I mean, everybody tells us it looks like it should be linear.
Right.
The path is so crooked, right?
Lies.
Everybody's path is so different. But I think as women, we are the ones that have that responsibility usually of the nurturing, of bearing children. And so we're a species of that has to adapt in order to survive. That's what we
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And that's just part of the story. It's like when you get out of that cycle, are you really consciously aware of what you're creating in your life, or are you just on autopilot? And I think
Yeah.
sometimes women get onto the autopilot because of the responsibilities, the expectations, and then the pressures we put on ourselves. I think we're in a time where we're returning back to ourselves more as humans, but I also feel like there's a time where it was about pushing that women are sort of supposed to be everything, and I felt that too. I felt like I needed, as a leader, I needed to be everything to everybody. I needed to have my shit together.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I mean, that's kind of a lie. You can't be everything to everyone. You can't climb every mountain at the same time. Believe me, I tried. I
Me too.
did pretty good.
Yeah, we get good at it, but it becomes really exhausting. We lose ourselves in that process.
Yeah.
And as you were talking about autopilot, this is where all of us, we do find ourselves on autopilot every single day. That's our default program. But the beautiful thing is that we're not limited and to the autopilot unless we choose to, whether a choice is conscious or not. It's up to us as individuals. And we are, as far as we know, we're the only conscious species in on this planet. I'm not going to say universe, but I'm going to say the planet. So if we're the only conscious species that we think we are, I will question that, but Let's leave it there. Why are we then the most confused ones? And everything, like talking about nutrition, who do you know who is very, very clear, 100% on their nutrition and when it comes to all things that any human can consume? No, that's one of the areas that everybody is the most confused in with the mind. That's another area where everybody's so confused and they're trapped in their little mental prisons and they can't seem to get out from that.
Mhm.
And when you were talking about that inner knowing, I I had once in a while I get these little visions and reminders of the things that I've heard, and it made me think of all the times that I, as a woman, had been questioned. How do you know that? And I can't for the life of me tell you how I know it. It's just one of the things that I know, and I cannot even fully explain it. I just know things without knowing where they even come from. And I feel like it's not just women. Men have access to all that information as well. But for women, we're literally like the universe comes through us. We are the creation itself because without a woman, there would be no more humans,
Mhm.
right? So it made me think of how perhaps there's a reason for that and how you've heard this before when they say a man's mind is like a waffle.
Mhm.
Everything is nice and neat and organized in its own little compartments. And a woman's mind is like spaghetti, or like my daughter will say, well, why not ramen? Well, ramen, why not? Right? Spaghetti is just a lot more messier in there, but ramen is a lot more like, straighter.
Yeah.
Um, and perhaps this is where that connection to the inner knowing comes from because if everything is in the nice, neat compartments, nothing really is connecting and communicating with one another. There's four walls or six walls, right? If we're looking at the waffle, possibly top and bottom and the sides, right? Whereas a woman's brain, being the spaghetti or ramen, if you will, it is everything is connected. Everything is like not necessarily one noodle, but noodles are connected. So wouldn't it make sense that this is where the connections happen as well and new quote unquote information comes through us as we are the portals of information, we are the portals of emotional growth and evolution as well. What are your
Mhm.
thoughts on that?
It's funny you said that quote because that was the exact when I was getting married a long time ago now, that was the quote they used in the marriage class about the men's and women's brains. So that was a throwback to me. That was funny. So
You're
anyway,
welcome.
but it's I mean it's true. We do operate differently, but I
Yeah,
think and I believe doesn't matter. Everybody has that inner knowing, and it's something you can't necessarily teach exactly the same to every single person because you have
mm,
different feelings. Your body
yeah,
holds this information. You can test your body, you can tell it, you can find out, whether it's through kinesiology or muscle testing, you can find out what the truth is.
yeah,
So you can find tools to help you do this. But you have it and you'll know where it feels in your body, whether it's a tension, is it a knot in your stomach? Is it something in your heart? Pay attention. If we could teach every kid, every child this early, and
yeah,
every adult or every woman now to go, don't shut that down. That isn't woo-woo, that's science, that's energy. Look at what
yeah,
Tesla says about energy. Everything is energy.
yeah,
So feel the energy, and that gives you the clues to make the decisions later on, where when you're out of alignment, when the job doesn't feel right, when the marriage doesn't feel right, when somebody's backstabbing you and you can't put your finger on it but you know it. Those are the things to pay attention to. And on the flip side, also, what lights you up? Pay attention to those feelings because that is your calling, that is your path. Those are the things that you are inspired to do. If you're not a person that wants to do the 9 to 5, or maybe you're a woman that has done the 9 to 5, doesn't want to do it anymore, or maybe you want to create something different, that's where it starts. So when you were talking, Yana, about what it's like, I think it is a connection, and I think we get disconnected very easily. right?
Yes.
We've got a cell phone,
Yep.
we've got stuff coming at us. I mean, you can doom scroll all day long, and you can certainly find all the things that are not great in your life because everybody else's is picture perfect. Or,
Exactly. It's one picture.
right? Or it's like the shiny object there, this looks great, and over there. You can get so distracted. But I think that's a tool that we can learn and that we need to tap into right away. And if women, if you've been shutting that out, and I did that too, I ignored it. What happened?
Yeah.
Was out of alignment. Things started not to flow. They started to feel like force. It doesn't work. So you
Yeah.
have to be aware of those things. You have to really pay attention and then connect in. And that isn't woo-woo, people. So
No.
don't tell me that. It's not. That's the truth. That's, for people who love the science. Okay, science. But that's what it is. You have to just tap in. And when you do that, when you follow your truth, everything starts to fall into place.
Yeah. That's
You know,
true.
and that means you have to let go of a lot of things. And I
Yeah.
think that's also one thing that's very difficult for people to want to do because by human nature, we hang on. We
Yeah.
hang on to things, we attach to things.
Yep.
But really, when you let go, when you detach from the outcome, which is the work of Neville Goddard, when you detach from that, things can start to align and you have to trust, which was a big
Yeah.
lesson for me. Um, Trust is still sometimes a difficult one. I'll be honest. I like to, it's a job I have. I'm a fixer. The leadership roles I have, that comes innately by nature. But you also have to trust, whether you're in a leadership role, whether you're the mom, whether you're the partner, whatever it is, you have to trust. And then you have to trust in something bigger than you. And that comes down to that faith thing that we talked about, I think, on another podcast. It's like we have to release and have faith that things always will work out for our best and highest potential.
Yeah.
And you may have to go through, well, not may, you will go through some shit. You
Yes.
will. But when you get to the other side, I mean, shit is manure, let's be honest. It is.
Exactly, right? People
So what
pay for
happens?
it.
What happens? There's growth, right?
Yeah.
There's growth.
Beautiful
There's a
growth. Yeah.
crop. There's a harvest. So those are the things I think we can, and I not even I think I know. You just tap into that and you pay attention to it and you don't shut it off. So when you shut it off,
Yeah.
that's where the problems come, right? It's like, oh, sometimes you're driving, you're like, maybe I shouldn't go left today. I don't know why I have that feeling. That's a simple example. But then it's like, oh, and then you hear on the news there was a great big accident had you gone left. So it is about tapping into that knowing that you have. So yeah.
Yeah. And it's actually a simple test what you just shared with driving, testing your intuition as well, the inner
Mhm.
knowing. As you're
Mhm.
driving, there's gonna be moments where you'll question your GPS even, where normally, because I've done that, and I'm questioning the GPS. I'm like, I don't know if I want to go that way. I'm like, I want to go this way, and I'll go and sometimes I'll hit a roadblock.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and because part of me is like, I don't want to go and follow the GPS because of some triggers that might come up for me where I don't like really slow drivers on the road. And certain roads, like there's slow drivers. And I try by trying to avoid some things that I know I should follow, right? Follow the GPS. But I'm like, no, I don't want to, just in case. And this is where the fear, the rationalization comes in and I go against what I knew I should be following, which is the GPS. Because the GPS knows the roadblocks and knows all the issues and knows all these things. There's a reason why it's telling me to go this way. I'm like, no, can't tell me what to do. Or I'm my own person. I do what I want.
Right?
But this is a great test as well. It's like, huh, why did I ignore that little voice that told me, no, just stick to the GPS, Yana. Quit your, rebelliousness. I'm like, no, I'm not quitting it. So,
Well, and what you're saying is exactly the analogy of life. And this is where women sometimes get stuck
yeah.
because, the path is supposed to be this way. And you don't want to let go of what you had planned your life to look like. You don't want to let go of that,
Fantasy, I call it.
right?
Yeah.
But you have to let go of that because you're not in alignment. And at some point, whether you let go of it now or later, it's going to catch up. Whether that means your physical health is suffering, your emotional health is suffering. I mean, that's the clear first indicators. But then you look at what you're suffering, and how long do you want to suffer? How long do you want to be out of alignment and feel that way before you make the change and before you make that decision? We can
Yeah.
decide to not follow the damn GPS,
Yeah. And look where that brought me. I had to
right?
stop because they were paving a road. I'm like, oh my God, are you fucking kidding me? Really? Today?
Yeah.
Not a good day. I mean, when is a good day? Right? That's
Right?
the question that comes. When is a good day, Yana? Never. Okay, well, I guess today is the day. So, a question for you. When did you realize that the life that you were living wasn't actually yours and you begun to get your shit together?
Oh gosh, so many times.
Tell me all.
You know, I think we're always working, and that's part of, personal development. We're always wanting to improve, to be better, to grow. And my belief on that is when we stop that, yes, I've spoken lots about alignment, but I also believe it's a death. When you stop growing, evolving, changing, it's a slow death, it's
Yeah,
the
it is.
dying on the inside.
Hmm.
If that's what you're called to do. Some people, and don't get me wrong, this is no place of judgment. Some people are perfectly content with everything they have and
Yeah.
everything they do and everything they are. Good for you. Great. No judgment.
Hmm.
But for some people, there is something that doesn't feel right. And so you
Yeah.
might go, oh, the job feel right, or maybe I want more. And we
Yeah.
can't apologize for those things because everybody's path is so different. And it's something my dad always says. He's sort of the inspiration to part of my podcast, but it's just everybody is unique. And so why do we try to fit into a mold? A mold
I
of
know.
what one person's path is. So for me, I had a lot of molds. I had the expectations of what does it look like in my brain, or what I perceived was what leadership looked like,
Mm.
what a podcaster should look like, what a mom should look like, and what a relationship should look like, and what I should look like. And those are
Yeah.
external things, but it's always going back to the internal. And so, I've had a few of those moments in my life. Some of them, and that's about the reinvention and rebuilding. I had, about 8 years ago, almost to the month. I mean, this month coming up, it was 8 years ago when I lost my mom. And it wasn't just losing my mom. I was also going through a divorce, lost my mom, and both of my kids at that time were moving out to pursue their dreams. They were at that next phase of their life. I didn't ask for any of those things. I
No.
wasn't expecting them to come. They hit big time. And what are you faced with? You're faced with, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Now I've got to pick up the pieces that maybe I didn't choose that I wanted to pick up, but I have to pick them up. What's my other choice? You're either a victim, you're a warrior, or a survivor, or the other way around, the victim, survivor, and warrior. And damn it, I was going to be the warrior. So I'm going to go through all of that, and you got to go through it. You got to face every
Yeah.
truth, the things why things didn't work out, and some of them were out of my control, because I do believe also there is a higher purpose to things that happen. And we don't always see that or want to see that, but I always have a grateful heart for the shitty stuff that I've been through too,
Yeah.
because I wouldn't be who I am without that happening. And so that was the first really difficult, where I believe God, universe, source, whatever your beliefs are,
Mhm.
said to me, "Hey, you girl, that path is not for you. You're going a different direction." And so what I had to do over, these last years is really all of that work, which is how the podcast even came to be, because it's now my philosophy and my pillars for life: the wheat fields, the wisdom, and the whiskey, about who we are, our stories, what we need to do inside to trust the wisdom, the life experience, and then how we shine our light after.
Mhm.
So yeah, 8 years ago was rough, really rough. And I'd say to every woman going through something, I hope you only have to do one of those. Maybe you don't have to do any of them, but you have no choice but to adapt. And we aren't just survivors, we're warriors as women. We are warriors. We are the brightest lights and we can get through anything. I have survived 100% of everything that I've been through, 100% of it. And so have you. And to every woman listening, that is my hope and my wish is that you will claim every scar, every scar. Don't be ashamed of it.
Yeah.
Use that as a way to propel you forward and then be grateful for everything. I have nothing but good things to say about what my marriage was like at that point, the things that I learned from my mom, the things that I learned from my kids, and I'm getting kind of emotional because it doesn't bring you to where you are without it. So yeah, it sucked. All of that at once, not fun.
Yeah.
But gosh, did I learn a lot? Am I grateful for a lot? Yes. And I did the work. You have to do the work. When those things happen, yeah, you could sweep them out. You could push them to the side. You got to do the work because every one of those things that I list isn't really a list. Every one of those was devastation and heartbreak.
Yeah.
You're ripped apart,
Of course, in many directions.
right? So women, if you're going through a divorce or a breakup or whatever, you can get through it. Face what's there and take responsibility because when things, the universe, God, source will put you in situations to bring you to what you're supposed to do. But you'll also, I'm also responsible for my own life and co-creating that and what you put out, you get out. And so I had to take responsibility for why things were the way they were. And then at the end of the day, I mean, I'm there. I'm by myself. Who's coming to save me? Nobody.
Yeah.
And that's a hard truth to swallow because, it would be easier to think you could depend on someone. And I don't say that out of judgment or anything other than at the end of the day, we come into the world alone, we leave alone.
Yeah.
And you are 100% responsible for your life. So I could have just quit at that point. What would I have had? Nothing. Right? And women do that sometimes. They quit before they can see what the exterior is going to be, right? You can't see. I didn't know what it was going to turn out like after that, but I
Nobody
knew
can
darn
see.
well I was going to get through it,
Yeah.
and you will. And so that was the first big one. I learned a lot. And then fast forward to 2 years ago. And this is, I think, again, another wish I would have learned it sooner, but clearly have to learn it again
Sometimes
and
once is not
again.
enough.
Right? Sometimes. And I think this one was really about stepping into that next level of who I'm revealing to be as who I am as Karey Harris. And that was the choice part where this time maybe God, source, universe didn't hand me all this slamming all at once like it did 8 years before. But this was a choice of like, are you going to step into your truth or not?
You said you want this, so here it is. Show me.
And I want women, I really want you to let that sit in your heart.
Mm.
Are you going to step into your truth or not? And I had to. And I remember the conversation very clearly. I said, I can choose you and I can choose to stay.
Mhm.
But if I do, I give up on me, my soul dies, and I'm not willing to do that anymore.
No.
And so when I reference letting go, that's about letting go with love. I don't have ill will to anything that's happened or that I created or to any other person. It's about that isn't in alignment. I'm not in alignment. We both have to speak our truth. So again, jobs, relationships, friendships, fitness, health, finances, all the things, the big pillars of life. What's the truth? And when you claim that, everything changes. You don't
Mm-hmm.
know how it's going to change, but it does because it has to, because I spoke my truth. that I couldn't
Mhm.
stop lying to myself anymore. I couldn't keep forcing something that didn't feel right
Yeah.
for either of us. And I'm just talking the relationship at this point, but it can be anything. And so when you have the courage, the
Right.
courage to say that, that's when it gets beautiful.
Yeah, it does. And the courage does not take place without fear being present.
I was scared, and I think that's just something as human nature. We get our logical brain, we get into fear, flight, and flight.
Yep.
That happens sometimes to all of us, but it's momentary. Don't buy into that false narrative. Don't buy into those limiting beliefs of your own worth and your own, and I use the word power, but I mean that light. Don't buy that. Don't buy that stuff.
Yeah.
And just do what you need to do. Follow your own path because people are critics all the time. They all think
Oh,
they
yeah.
have everything figured out. Well, they're not living your life.
I know. I dare them to try.
Living it. So like judge me, do whatever you think you need to do, but your opinion of me is none of my business. I don't care,
Yeah.
right? I don't care. So you could look on the outside and say, well, here's the things that didn't work for this woman, and you can judge that. Or you can just detach from it and say that was her experience. And now look what has come after that. Or look what the learning has been. And I think for women, that's the power. If
Yeah.
it's not right for you, then you can make a different decision.
Yeah, try something different. What's the definition of insanity? Trying the same thing over and over again and hoping that it works?
Right?
So if it hasn't worked first time, second time, third time, well, maybe fourth and fifth time, maybe 100th time, maybe that's a sign to try something different. Something that you come up with on your own, because chances are the reason why it's not working is because it's not ours. It's not
Mhm.
meant to work for us, it's meant to be for someone else. And often the things that we carry, even the ideas that we carry, or I mean, we didn't learn to drive by ourselves. Somebody taught us how to drive,
Mhm.
right? We didn't learn to speak by ourselves. Somebody taught us how to speak. And then we went to school and then we met friends and then they taught us how to speak in different ways. And now teenagers, they have their own language. And I watched some videos of even father going through a drive-through and he's like, I'm just here for parenting advice, right? And the way he would speak would be all like slang and teenager. I'm like, what did he just say? No cap in the end, right? I'm like, how? But somebody taught them how to speak that way. So, which means somebody has to teach me how to speak that way so I can understand. And if I try it, I don't like it, then I'll speak my own way. But we gotta try the Cinderella shoes that are being given to us to try as ideas that we have our on our own and see if this fits, see if this sticks. And earlier we're talking about death and rebirth, which is one of the things I always bring up on this series because this is what your journey becoming is. It's a bunch of deaths and rebirths. Death
Mhm.
and rebirth. Just like the earlier question I asked of how many times, when did you realize that your life wasn't yours? And you're like, many times. Each one is death and rebirth, death and rebirth. Now, for you, what version that sticks out the most out of all of them? Because I know you're very self-aware and you know that there's so many of them and there's going to be one that really pops up, but what version of you had to die so this woman right here today could finally live?
Oh man, that's a great question. The version of me that had the limiting beliefs
Yeah.
and the version of me that didn't step fully into her worthiness and her power. I settled for things because I
Yeah.
thought that was the way, maybe that was the expectation, but I knew, right? I knew I was settling. I knew that in my gut, and I'm just speaking generally. I'm not talking anything specific, but I think when you are aware of those things and you learn that you have to let them go, then that's what you're talking about is like you start to get rid of the old versions of you, and you can't have two identities at once. I just talked about this on another podcast. You have to sort of step into, I'm here, I want to go here, what does this version of me look like, act like, feel like? How does she behave? And you can change that in a second. So don't wait. Right? That's not easy. I'm not saying, oh, I think about this and everything's perfect in the next second. No, but I know the patterns now. I'm aware enough to know, oh, I'm going back into an old limited version of me instead of claiming my worthiness and moving on to that other version, right? So
Mm.
create that what you want it to be. And I really want to say this, Yana, because I think this is just coming through like age is stop it. Stop it. Because I talk to lots of women in the work that I do and in the leadership things that I offer. And oftentimes the thing you'll say, people will give an excuse and a lot of it has to do with age. Well, I don't really want to start over. I'm too
Yeah.
old. I've had my kids. I can't get the weight off. No, no, that none of that is true. None of
Yeah,
that is true.
I
Those are
agree.
all limiting beliefs.
Stories we tell ourselves
Yeah, and you
to
can
stay the
change
same, to stay
that.
comfortable, so we don't
Yes.
change.
And that's what you're talking about, I believe,
Yeah.
when you talk about the rebirth and that death. It is not comfortable, people. Not comfortable.
No, no, it's not. It's not supposed to be. That's how we grow.
Not. Yes. And that's where growth happens is outside of that comfort zone.
Mhm.
And I think that's where the beauty is. That's the beauty where you get to really step into your authentic self and to reveal it. I look at it now like layers of who we start as, as children, and then expectations, marriages, jobs, kids, all of this gets
Yeah.
piled on and it buries us a little, it buries us. And so you got to, be like the farmer and push the dirt off, plant the seed, your seed. What do you want to create in your life?
Mhm.
No excuses. And I'm a teacher, so sometimes I get passionate. Yeah, or no excuses because I hear that so often too. And so it comes from a place of love, which I learned so much from Dr. Rose Backman. It's every time you speak truth, it's from love. And so I say this with love. Don't buy into the old stories. Don't buy into the limiting beliefs. Don't buy into what you think should be all the dirt that's been piled off. Push it off, plant the seed, and watch what happens. Growth happens. Beautiful things happen in your life that you can't even explain, or sometimes you don't even expect, and they turn out better.
Yeah, you
They
gotta
turn
some
out better.
when you plant that seed, you gotta let that seed grow, and you can't meddle with it. You can't keep checking. It's like a little bit of a different example, but many of us have buried a pet, right? And some of us have watched some cartoons, some things where they come back to life. It's like digging that back up just to see if it's alive again, or that seed, if it's growing, just to see if it's growing or not. We gotta let it be because earlier you also said trust the process. And the way that we do it sometimes is we just have to stand still and be the observer of
Mhm.
our own life.
Yeah, girl.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
we
girl.
we learn so much on this journey that we recognize. Also, you earlier mentioned the word integrity. And integrity makes me think of the way that I think of it is lying, right? The opposite of integrity is kind of like lying. And often we lie to ourselves more than we lie to anybody else. Simply saying, oh, today I'll go for a walk in the morning. And then today comes and goes, and you're like, oh, I didn't go for a walk. So you lied to yourself. You said you're going to do something, and you didn't. And this is just a small, tiny little white lie. But we live with a lot of them for ourselves that we give and from others. For
Mhm.
you, what would you say was the biggest lie that you were living that felt normal to you until it finally broke you?
Oh gosh. Well, again, I think, my name's Karey, so I don't think that's an accident, and I'll tell you why. I think I've had
Tell
to
me why.
carry a lot of things a lot of things in my life, and I've had to learn like I've got so much lived experience. So when you say that, that's why I started laughing because I'm like, oh, I could talk about this and this and this
All right.
and this,
That's awareness right there, by the way, guys. When we're
right?
really aware, we know all of our
You
shit.
know all of it. I'll just use something because I'll just use weight loss journey as one, and I'll tell you why, because I think what you mentioned here was about you make a promise to yourself, and I'll use anything in life. If you make a promise to yourself, the minute you don't keep it, you're choosing not you. You're choosing
Yes.
someone else,
Yes.
someone else's beliefs, expectations, what they think is more important. And every time you do that, you give away a little bit of yourself. You
Yep.
pile on some more dirt. And the more you do that, the harder it is to get back to the roots.
Yeah, because we dig ourselves a hole.
You dig it. It's I don't know if this is the right word, but it's the word that's coming to me right now is self-abandonment. So when you
Oh, I
abandon,
agree. Yeah.
when you abandon yourself by not sticking to, I'm going to get up on at 5:30 and I'm going to do a 30-minute walk. Every time you don't do that, what happens? You feel pretty crappy.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm guilty. Ah,
The worst
darn.
person in the world. I hate
Right?
myself.
Hate myself. All the things that happen because of one small choice, a promise that you didn't keep to yourself. So the lesson I've learned with the weight loss journey, and believe you me, I speak of that because I know women, again, might think, well, you're not 20, you can't lose the weight. You've had kids, you can't lose the weight. None of that is true. It's all up here. And then it's about being consistent and sticking to the promises that you have for yourself.
Mhm.
And so for me, I yo-yoed up many times in my life. I mean, I was an athlete, a gymnast. I never had to worry about it in the 20s, even after I had kids. It was after that. It was
Mm.
after that where, okay, well, it's busy. I got the kids. Like, well, whatever. Okay, I can't do that. I'm not going to keep the promise to myself. And the more you keep not keeping your promises, it becomes a habit,
Exactly.
right? And the habit doesn't feel good sometimes, but it's like, whatever. And I use that example is because I think a lot of women struggle with, their self-image and their weight.
Yes.
So for me, in the last 2 years, it's been 30 pounds gone. How? Consistency and keeping the promises to myself. And then, not beating yourself up when things didn't work out. So I didn't have the whatever perfect meal or I ate the chips or whatever. So, the old version of me, Yana, would have been like, well, what's another bag of chips?
I know, right? I'm already down there, so might as well. I know that's
Right?
the old version that we all can relate to. I feel
Right? So
like.
you tell yourself these crazy stories about what it can be, but when you keep the promises and it changes. And then just be consistent with it, like anything in your life. So if you're wanting to change your career, or you feel that there's more, or you want to start something different, you just keep the promise to yourself. Your daily method, your daily mode of operation every day is to keep the one promise to yourself in whatever categories. And that's how I reinvented and rebuilt. I looked at the 5 areas of my life. What's going to be the one promise in every one of those areas that I'm going to keep to myself every day? And if something gets in the way, which it will, I'm going to choose not to beat myself up about that. And I'm just going to choose differently. So, okay, let it go. Had the second bag of chips. Tomorrow, not even waiting for tomorrow. I start right now because that's the other cycle we get in, right? It's like, especially with
Exactly.
dieting or lifestyle change. And the society does a great job of this. We'll start on Monday.
Right?
It just keeps you in a loop.
Like it's
Why,
the beginning
if
of
you
the
want to
week.
make, yeah, like if you want to make the change, it's no harder to do it on Monday than it is on Friday.
It might
No
feel
easier.
harder because Fridays are we're all programmed this is when we're done work and Friday is partying and relaxing. The weekend is for relaxing. This is not where you build your dreams. This is not when you do renovations. No, no, no. This is where you just relax and you deserve that box of 24 cans of beers or the bottles of wine. You deserve it. You earn it. You worked hard all week. And Monday, the week starts new. But why wait for Monday to for the week to start? Why wait until tomorrow? Like you said, start doing it now.
Yeah. And I believe that's with anything in our life. I just use the weight loss example because I
Oh yeah,
know women tend
we all
to,
get it.
we all get it,
I
right?
don't know anyone who doesn't.
Right? You can use that in any area of your life.
Yeah.
And so it's just taking the one step, making that decision, and then take the one step. And then just another step and another step and another step. That's all it is. It's just being consistent, just carrying that out. And so whether it's, I'm doing some digital journey now, I'm learning something new that I don't know. It's out of my comfort zone, and I share that vulnerably because I know a lot of things, but I don't know a lot about AI. I don't
Mm.
say that that's the be all and the end all. What I'm saying is it's a learning. And so it's you got to step out and learn a little bit more and then continue on. So if you want to change a career, you want a relationship, you want to end a friendship, that isn't serving you, what are you going to do about it? So set some boundaries and then keep the promises to yourself. Where's the boundary? Where's the belief? And what promises am I going to keep on myself? And so you talked about, bet on me, which was like what I would say my story is. But betting on me is about not a place from ego. It's because if I don't bet on myself, who's going to? Who's going to believe in me more than me?
No one.
Nobody. Nobody.
Nobody even cares, to be honest. They just
No.
are glad that it's not them, and it makes them feel we all. It's so like with one of those things that we've all experienced, where when you see somebody failing, it makes you feel good because now you're feeling like you're succeeding, even though you haven't done shit. Right? You feel like your life is better even though you haven't done anything to improve it, but all you did was look at somebody else struggle and go through a rough time, and that made you feel good. We've
Mhm.
all experienced that, and I
Mhm.
will be the first one to admit that I've experienced that where I've lived in that program where somebody else's failures made me feel like I don't have to do anything. I can just stay where I am and everything is great and perfect. I even, part of me was, I feel like even seeking out those miserable stories so I didn't have to change, so
Yeah.
I could stay the same. But for all of us, we all experience this, I call it the enough is enough moment where we've had enough and we can no longer live this way. So something has to give, something has to change,
Mhm.
or I'll be like this forever and ever. So what was your enough is enough moment where you knew you either stay the same or change? I know there's
Yeah.
more,
I
many
know
of
I
them.
start laughing again. Well, that's my whole life.
I know. Yep. That's how it usually works. Well, which one is like the loudest that you feel like
Yeah.
the women listening to such a
Yeah.
podcast called Get Your Shit Together and sharing
Yeah.
your journey becoming where they might be on that same similar journey? What would you say was for you?
Yeah. And I think it was walking away, to from that relationship that didn't
Mm,
serve me and really stepping into my own truth about it. I think that really was because I'm just getting started. You know what I mean? That's how it feels. Like I am just getting started. And and that moment, probably because it's the most recent, also brought to light so many things, where, for example, I'm a leader, I'm in education, I love what I do. It's it's one income path, right? And
yeah.
so even looking at the potential of expanding that area of my life, expanding relationships, friendships, your health and your fitness and your well-being. It all kind of came out of that one decision where I really had to face the truth about every area of my life
Yeah.
and not play small. And again, to women listening, if you've got that nudge, that's telling you something. If the nudge isn't there, cool, right?
Yeah, it'll
You
come.
might be perfectly in alignment. But from speaking with other women and sharing intimate conversations, I bet you there's 80% of women that are like, actually, I'm not happy in my job. Not really sure about this relationship. Actually, my friendship circle, my health. I bet you 80% of people would
Yeah.
have something that they know needs to be different, but sometimes you don't step into it. You decide somebody else's opinion is more important than yours or their expectations. And so you just carry on status quo. It's all a choice, and so no judgment. Every woman's story is every woman's story. my story is mine. And, everything that you go through as a woman brings you to where you are. And I believe women are just the most beautiful, powerful, underestimated at times. Um, and I just think when we shine in our light, and that's, I don't know if you can see my ring here, but it's a ring. It's called In Lumine Luce.
Mhm.
And it's a Latin name. It's a jeweler out of Vancouver, but it's a sheaf of wheat and a crown. And why I share this is because this is my North Star right here. And I
Mhm.
hope for women listening, your North Star, for me, it's shining in the light, right? It's about you have an inner light, you know it, follow it, you have a guiding light, and then you have a light that needs to be revealed. And
Yeah.
those three things, which are actually parallels to my podcast, which I didn't know until lately because I've been doing some work on that. I just think it's really important that we don't let someone, or yourself, or expectations, or no boundaries, or unrealistic beliefs. Don't let that light inside of you dim because that's what I see too. And I know because I lived it. I let my light dim. Why? Lots of reasons.
Yeah.
The dirt came on there, and so you stuff it down. But I'm here on a mission now to be the sparkle for other women, for young girls listening, for women raising daughters, for mothers, for grandmothers. There is no better time than now.
Right.
There's no better time to shine your light, whatever that means, for you, not someone else's path, for you.
Yeah.
So, somebody might not want to do podcasts. You don't have to. What's your light? What's your truth? What's your spark? What sets you on fire every day?
Yeah.
That's what you need to live. And don't wait for tomorrow. Bet on yourself and don't apologize. I spent a lot of time people pleasing and
Yeah.
apologizing for being me.
Yeah. And that's what dims our
What?
light. We dim our light because we don't want to outshine anyone else. So it comes from a place of, some will say it comes from a place of love. No, it comes from a place of loving others, but not yourself. But how can you love others if you don't even know? In order for you to know what love is, you need to know how to love yourself. That's where it all starts within. And we often, I know that's why I dim my light. I still once in a while will honestly catch myself attempting to dim my light because it might make somebody else feel less than
Mhm,
or
mhm.
uncomfortable. And I don't want to be that person for them, or more like I didn't want to be that person for them. And now I'm like, why the fuck not? Why can't I be the one that irks her soul a little bit and shows her what she's capable of doing or being or becoming by simply reminding her that she has her own light and to actually shine it unapologetically.
Mm.
So, on this life journey that is not linear, not sideways, not backwards, it's all over the place like pasta, right? Spaghetti. Back to that. We lose a lot of things. We lose things, we find. That's why I also don't like the word weight loss because to me, I've learned that it's like that this is why we go and we find that weight back because we don't like to lose things. But we do lose things on our journeys, and some things we grieve and other things we don't. What would you say that stands out to you the loudest that you have lost on your journey that you actually did not expect to grieve?
Mm. Great question.
Thank you.
I think it's just layers of myself,
Mm,
honestly. You lose pieces of yourself because you've said yes to things when you meant no.
mm,
Um, and when you do that, it becomes a habit, and it was becoming a habit for me to maybe not speak my truth, to not stand up in situations that I should have stood up for, or even just to be honest about things. People, and that's why I use whiskey in the podcast too. And I share that with you because it's a pillar for reinvention and rebuilding. The whiskey is all symbolic. I'm a big person on symbols because those have been my anchors.
mm-hmm.
And I would really encourage other women and people listening to find your anchors. find the things that have meaning and purpose and hang on to them, whether it's a symbol, a sign, a practice, whatever it is. But for me, it's a lot of symbols. So I've got lots. That could be a whole nother show. But anyway,
But I have symbols too. We'll do a show on
right?
symbols.
Right,
Symbol
we'll
show.
do symbols. But it's important because for me, the whiskey represents not about consumption of alcohol. The
Mhm.
whiskey represents the truth. Whiskey is truth. And
Especially when you drink a lot of it.
right? When you have a sip of whiskey, you girls know this, and guys out there too, it burns on the way down
Yeah.
usually. A little bit of a burn. And to
Yeah.
me, that's a symbol of truth. Whiskey is the truth. That's
Hmm.
what the alcohol is. It brings out the truth in people. Maybe you don't want to know. But it when it burns on the way down, it's because you're facing the truth. And that's what most people avoid. So for me too, I avoided some things of truth because I didn't want to face them. Because when I face the truth, people, means you got to change.
Yes.
Something has to change. Maybe it's something else, but something has to change. So face the truth. And the duality of the whiskey is it's a symbol for celebration
Hmm.
because it's a toast.
Yeah.
Growing up on the farm, my parents would always, at the end of harvest, all the neighbors would gather. Yeah, there was probably some whiskey being poured, but it's the symbol of we've created something, things have grown. Here's a toast, a celebration to who we are, to what we've grown. And I think as women, this is one of the biggest lessons. Celebrate yourself, everything. I was a person that would put off celebrating until it was the big accomplishment. Huh? What are we talking about? Celebrate every day. So
Mhm.
face the truth so that you can celebrate. Celebrate the small wins, the decision where you decided not to abandon yourself, the one step you took towards that goal or dream that you had, the one thing that you know you should have said that you didn't, but actually you're going to go back. And when you say it with integrity and love, and then people will be open to receiving it. And you too, don't beat yourself up. I mean, I was great at beating myself up. And then I did a lot of personal development and I just kept track of how many things in a day I said to myself that were negative. And it was like profound. It was actually a little elastic band exercise. And every time you said something that wasn't great, you just flipped this band. And it was like, whew, awareness, right? That was an
Mhm.
awareness for me. So now I've learned celebrate the little things because the little things are the big things.
Yeah.
Celebrate every day. Doesn't mean you need to drink the gallon of whiskey, but it means you need to face the truth in order to celebrate. And those are other pillars of my life now that whether it's leadership, whether it's, all the things that I've done in my life come back to these three things: wheat fields, wisdom, and whiskey, which are just parallels for life. Your roots,
Mhm.
your story, your truth, the wheat.
Yeah.
The biggest roots, the deepest roots on many plants are actually the wheat. People don't know that, but it's the staff of life and it's there for a reason. So know what your roots are, know your story, and don't apologize for it because every single story that each woman has is unique to them. So
Hmm.
that's the wheat. That's the pillar, right? You do the work in the wheat. You don't abandon yourself. You ask questions like, have I abandoned myself? What are some things that are my truth about my story that I can own? What are my values? And that brings the clarity. And then when you get into the wisdom part, I mean, that's what we've talked about most of this show is that inner knowing, keeping that honesty to yourself and trusting that inner guidance. That's the wisdom and that's the life experience, which as women, we all have so many. Let's celebrate each other. Let's build each other up because everybody's got something in there and listen to that. So it's the pause, it's the listen, and it's the lead. That's the strategy. And when we talk about the whiskey, that's that part that I just shared. It's like I'm going to own this, I'm going to act on it, and then I'm going to celebrate it. And I teach that to kids just in a different way. We call it own it,
But
fix it,
it's
change it,
milk,
move
not
on.
whiskey.
That's right. But it's that same philosophy of
Yeah.
own it, act on it, change it, and celebrate.
Yeah.
That's it. Right. And there's strategies. So I have strategies broken down for each one of those. And as I reflected, which I do a lot of, those all came together. And it was like, I wouldn't have thought that 3 or 4 months ago, but now I see all the parallels of my life, past, present, and future,
Mm-hmm.
Wheatfield's wisdom and whiskey, and then with my, my light, um, shine in the light philosophy and North Star. So, um, yeah, it's a beautiful thing when you just really just be authentically yourself. And I do feel sometimes maybe, I don't know, that authenticity sometimes can be a trigger because like everybody, it's a buzzword, I guess, is everyone's saying it.
Yeah.
But what does it mean? I think the definition is really about you being you truly,
Yeah.
truly,
And remember that we'll change.
yeah.
That who we were, it's like this. Somebody who knew who I was in my 20s might say, you weren't being yourself, you were being somebody else. Meanwhile, I was being myself, by being this kind of a mother to my children, because we change who we are a little bit based on who we're with. And it does not mean we're not being ourselves. It means that we are being a version of ourselves that is the true self. It's just you, for example, can't handle me being sarcastically funny. So I'm gonna respect you and not going to be sarcastically funny with you. Maybe you can't handle me burping out loud. So I will not burp out loud because I will respect you in that way. These are simple examples, and then of course we can go into depth, but we won't. Uh, how we're still being ourselves, but it's just a little bit holding certain things back in a way
Mhm.
out of respect and understanding of who needs to be here right now. I can't be loud and hyper when I don't go to church, but if I go to church, right? It's not the place to be that way. And you're right, it's like a buzzword now,
Mhm.
being authentic, and everybody uses that. Oh, you're being fake, you're not authentic, but no, just like now is another word, gaslighting. Everybody's a gaslighter now. Like, oh my God, you guys come up with this shit, and now you take this shit out of proportion.
Right?
It becomes a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we're all getting our shit together. And we're getting our shit together looks different on day to day.
Yeah.
For you, what does it actually look like right now in real life?
Yeah, it goes back to the promises that I keep to myself every day. And whether, I don't know if you want to call it that, but the daily method of operation. It's like every day there is going to be some non-negotiables that happen.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what comes in the way or what else. I don't veer from those anymore, So I'll give you a simple example. It's I'm a big journaler. It ebbs and flows. Sometimes I'm not journaling much. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 minutes at the end of the day. And even though I'm on, a different schedule right now in the summer, I still stick to sort of my plan.
Mhm.
I stick to what I said I was going to do for the most part, and keep the clear vision in mind of what I'm building. And
Mhm.
I think that's important. And I'll say building, but if you're reinventing, then it's about what are you going to keep doing for yourself every day? So, and simple things. So for women listening, simple things. If you're not a journaler, because I know a lot of my girlfriends are like, oh gosh, no, I'm not doing that. I don't have time. I don't know. You don't have to. You can take 2 minutes in the car when you're driving and you can just go over the day, visualize what you want, what the outcome is going to be. But that's also the practice gratitude. And those are the moments where if you're not into the gratitude journal, you don't have to be, but gratitude, I think, is one thing we really need to shift our lens on too, because gratitude isn't just the good stuff.
Mhm.
Gratitude is for everything.
Yeah.
And it's also being thankful before it comes.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
there's the trick. It's about, well, I'm grateful for my kids, but yes, but you can also be grateful for things that you haven't seen yet. So I'm already grateful for, I'm so thankful for this. I'm so thankful for that beautiful vacation that I'm taking with my kids in December, paid in full. So you can preempt what's going to happen. And the more you do that, the more your heart is bursting and filling up with the good things. And so I think those are just really practical and little things that help every single day.
Yeah.
And really just stick to the things that you said you're going to do.
Yeah.
so that you can keep building momentum, but you also build confidence. You build confidence when you say you're going to do something and you do it.
Hmm.
Um, and I think, like we said, women are creatures of we survive and so we adapt. But don't give away your power when you're doing the adapting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all got to have, you know, little mojo. I mean, I'm a Pisces for gosh sakes. I like to go with the flow on a lot of things. But I also like the structure and the routine of what I know that I need to do in order to get to where I want. And for a lot of time, I spent a lot of time in my head. I was great at doing the reflection. I just didn't really act on it sometimes,
Yeah.
Lots of times I did and sometimes I didn't. And so that goes back to that fear, that lack of self-trust is like, oh, I'm not sure I'm going to do that. I'll just wait. Maybe
Yeah.
everything will be perfect next month. There's no such thing as that.
But it's a state of mind. It's a state of being, just like gratitude. It's not something we just think about and or write down. It's something that we experience and feel on the
Mm,
inside. State of being involves feelings and emotions.
yeah,
And when we're truly present and present with being grateful for things that have come, good or bad, that we've experienced because it made us who we are. Just like earlier, you were sharing your journey and you were like your heart was swelling up with water and in your
yeah,
throat, right? Like the tears were ready to come out because that right there to me that felt like gratitude. Gratitude is not what it's like, oh, you're just sitting and smiling, you're just pure joy. No, you sometimes can feel right like the swelling from the inside, like the Grinch when his heart grew 2 sizes too big for his chest. That's what gratitude to me, that's what it feels like. We're really in the present moment, just with everything and feeling complete and whole.
yeah,
And I say that because I understood gratitude in a different way. I thought I would need to write things down and just say them and just think them. But that is just, um, it's like reading a book that has no letters in it. There's no feeling and emotion in there. That is the key to
that
everything.
is that is the
Manifesting
key.
is another word.
Yeah,
Gratitude is important for for manifestation. Visualization is important for that as well. You were talking about journaling, whether you're doing it in your own head or on paper. I'm the person that I'll do it in my own head and I get lost and I forget what I was doing in the first place and I go this way and that way and now I'm on to-do list again because that's always the anchor for everything.
right. Yeah, no, and I love what you said, Yana, about the feeling. Like that is where it is. And I teach this to kids too. And when I talk to parents, even in school, feelings are information. That's it. And so are emotions. It's just information.
Hmm.
Pay attention to the information because what you feel is your feeling.
Yeah.
Now articulate it. Now describe it, understand it, reflect on it, don't dwell in it, acknowledge it, and then you move on. So, good, bad, or otherwise, it works both ways, right? Your feelings of resentment to someone, like you harbor that why, and you can explain those things, but it goes on the flip side. It's like what you were talking about. If you want to create something, you want to really feel something, it all happens from the inside. It's that energy. So, when something's off, what are your feelings and emotions telling you? If you're walking on eggshells, that's a clue,
It's a
right?
really big crunchy clue.
That's a clue. If you cannot say what you need to say without someone else judging what you've said or coming back with a retaliation, as an example, you're going to feel something and that's information. When you walk into, and I call this, like, again, I use because I'm a Pisces, but whatever, everybody's sign is their sign, but a lot of mine are true. I'm an emotional person, so I have had to learn how to use that information and not let it completely overtake me because I feel everything from everyone and I take it on. So I've had to learn how to
Yeah.
not take it on. So to use that information of the emotion. So when you walk into a room, and I say this all the time, my bullshit meter is so high. I walk into a room and it actually kind of drives me nuts, but I can feel when something's off. Feel it.
Mhm.
I know when somebody's lying. I know when there's been something that's just, I feel it. And on the flip side, the great things too. Like I know when there's authentic laughter and people are really in their mojo. So I've used that. I start to use that now to my advantage. I used to look at it like, oh gosh, I wish I didn't have to pick up on everybody's stuff and why do I feel everybody? But now it's just like, you can't lie
Perfect.
to me.
Yeah.
Your words can say something. I've learned to accept what's right in front of me. And that was my hardest lesson from a couple of years ago. Not what I thought was being said, what
Yeah.
actually was being said, followed up by actions.
Hmm.
So those are important things. And because I'm a fixer and I'm really good at it, I'm a fixer. That was one uncovered belief I didn't know that I discovered in the last few years. My job is not to fix people.
No.
And I think women, and I'm generalizing, I think a lot of times we do feel that's our job. And I honestly, Yana, I had to uncover this many times, many tears, many joyful laughters. I, at my core, believed my job was to fix people.
Mine too. Until I went through iPad coach training and they shattered my reality and I had to learn to detach. And just like you, I used to take everything into my heart. Even as a little girl, I remember my mom telling me, and we don't understand these things. We just hear them. And she would tell me, why do you let everything into your heart? You take it into your heart. You're going
Yeah.
to hurt your heart. And I didn't get that until, one fateful day. I don't even know what it was. But there's always that one day that just like cracks us open and
Right?
the Pandora's
So
box, and
true.
all the shit comes out. And most of the shit is not even mine. Because when we take
Right?
things into our heart, now the traumas that I was even working on and healing, some of them weren't even mine. I took on other people's traumas, fears, resentments, the things that they were carrying, and as I'm sure you did as well.
Mhm.
That's also being an empath, by the way, where we're
Yeah.
like
Oh, done a
feel.
lot of reading on that too.
I can imagine. So I
Yeah.
know there's a lot of women listening or will be listening, and they're gonna have lots of questions, so please leave them down below. But the question that I like to ask is of you, Carey, so you can share with those women who are listening, because I know the reason why they're still here and listening is because they're dreaming, but they're stuck in that dreaming, or they're stuck in that doubting or overthinking or overanalyzing phase, or in that stuck phase where just they just can't seem to move a foot, just standing still there, and they're just stuck. What would you say to her that might finally get her to move that she is not ready to hear? Because I believe it's important to say things that they don't want to hear, not ready, but are going to irk or irritate her soul
Right? Right?
to
Well, here's the
push.
whiskey. Here's the whiskey truth.
Give her the whiskey, yes.
You
Maybe she
should,
could pause right now and
right?
go take a shot and then listen.
Don't take a shot because here it is. And I say this because I had to learn it too, and I think that's why it hits so hard. You have to face the truth.
Yeah.
Face it. Don't put a mask on it. Don't go buy something else to make you feel better. Don't, I don't know, act out of not integrity, whatever it is. You have to face it. And how long, and if this is the moment that something changes for you, how long do you want to stop shining your light? How long? How long do you want to struggle? And I know that sounds
Yeah.
like I'm coming at you, but I come at from love in the sense that this is the truth you need to hear. How long do you want to struggle?
And suffer in a struggle. Suffering is
How
the
long?
mind, the struggling is the body.
How long?
Yeah.
Only you can make that decision, and nobody else is coming to save you. Here's the thing, ladies. When you make a decision to step into your truth, sometimes that's going to mean you got to let go of a lot of things. And that's going to be hard because you're going to lose the life you thought you created. You're going to maybe lose friendships. You're going to lose parts of yourself. There is loss that comes with it.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable. So don't give up just because, oh, I feel lonely. So, as an example, as we were talking about food, right? That happens a lot. Okay, I'm lonely. I'm going to eat some chips or whatever you're going to do. Chips is my thing, you can tell.
And I like
But,
chips.
oh my gosh. Anyway,
The crunch.
don't succumb to the temporary feeling for what you want permanently later.
Yeah, that's a great reminder.
Mhm.
Don't
And
choose the
then
temporary.
go back to the Wheatfield's whiskey wisdom analogy of who are you at the root? Reflect on it and then go inside. Look deep, reflect, pause if you have to, pause, really feel. And then the last part is step, act. Don't wait.
Yeah.
Time is a ticking, people. Time is
Literally.
it's a ticking. And then, if I may, because it's sitting here and I just feel like I'm called to share this. So here's the crown.
Ooh, shiny.
Okay. And most people will look at this crown, but this is again a symbol for me. You'll look at this crown and you'll think, maybe that represents success. Maybe that means, she thinks she's all that. That isn't this.
Yeah.
Women, wear your crown because each of these gems is a scar for me and for you. This is your story.
Hmm.
Take what the story is, the scars, the celebrations, all in this, and wear it proudly. Put it on. Wear it with pride.
Yeah.
And I mean by that, well, I wear mine sometimes, so you do you.
Sometimes you gotta, right? If you
You
have it,
know,
why not? Just step into the little moment and have that little pageant moment in front of the mirror and enjoy
yeah,
it.
but it's a representation of who you are, and that's what the crown means to me because the crown shines just like you do when you own your truth, when you are the queen of your own life.
Yeah.
Not your kid's life, not someone else's life, not your workplace environment's life, not what your spouse wants. What do you want? What do you want? What feels right? And then fricking go for it. That's it. And
Yeah.
every day, and even if it's a small dream, a big dream, a small change, a big change, it doesn't matter. It's all the same principle. It's what's calling you that needs to be different
Hmm.
and then step into it. Put it on. And if you have to, I use music every single day. Like I'm a dancing freak, party for one all the time because it changes my energy
It
and it
does.
brings me up.
Yeah.
But the crown is the representation of don't be afraid to share your truth with other women. Don't be afraid to talk about your scars. We're not perfect.
No.
We're imperfectly perfect. And that's the beauty of women. And it's not, the crown isn't from a place of ego. It is a place of, this is what I had to go through to wear that damn thing
Yeah.
and be proud of that because
Ex-
everyone has a beautiful story that is only their own. And that's what I love about people is just claiming that energy that you have when you talk to someone else, when somebody else shares something similar. Women, we're all going through it. So let's not pretend that it's all perfect. That's just the 1 second on Instagram. We can all
I
put
know.
that up there.
It's the highlight reel that I was talking
A
about, right?
highlight reel. But man, to wear the crown, there's a lot of scars. And there
Yeah.
was a time in my life I didn't want to share those things. And I don't use them as I need to stay back in them. It's just part of my story of
Yeah.
what brought me to where I am now. So I never look at it as, oh, woe is me, or this is bad, or I was a victim of this. No, 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 no,
No.
no, no. No.
Yeah. It made you
And
who
that's the
you are.
beauty.
Exactly.
That's the beauty. So you gotta face that truth. And you can keep suppressing it. That'll be my last thing. You can keep suppressing it, but how long do you want to?
Exactly. And as you
How
were
long?
putting on the crown, it made me think of what happens when somebody else, when another woman is in the presence of that crown and she's shining her light. Like
Mhm.
imagine just that light shining at all those scars, quote unquote. It
Mhm.
shines back, it reflects, it makes the room brighter, it magnifies. So by us wearing our own crowns, whether it's a physical one or a figurative one, what we're actually doing is we're holding up many mirrors, many objects that will shine back onto that woman and many others around. Because light is not just it. We can't trap light. We can't keep it in one area. It just you can't tell a light where to go. I mean, you can with a flashlight, but even then, it still kind of spreads a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and
yeah.
it's darkness to light. I mean, that's life is a duality. That's really what it is. So you
Mhm.
can't have the light if there's not some darkness. We don't
Yeah.
have sunlight without night first. I mean, those are the things that people don't want to hear because it's like, oh, I'm just in my crown phase and I get to stay there forever. No, there's still darkness. You know,
Yeah.
2 days ago I was in the darkness. I was like, forcing and this isn't working and rah, rah, rah. Let's be honest with each other. This shit happens all the time. It's a daily thing.
Yeah.
But I love what you said, Yana. When we shine our light, we give other women permission to do the same.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be what somebody else thinks. It just has to be yours. And when you step into who you truly are, other people feel that. That's the authenticity. It's a feeling. It's not what you
Mhm.
say, it's what they
Yeah.
feel. And
Yeah.
when you're around women that truly want the best for you, that truly want you to succeed, that truly cheer you on, not just in private, but in public, in other places, find your queens. And the queens I mean that are really authentically true, honest, the people that are your people. And it doesn't have to be a whole lot.
No.
Sometimes a woman just needs one. So I guess if there's somebody out there listening, Yana's one of those women. I'm one of those women. I hope if we can change one woman's story, that something out of today has given you the permission to go out and do what you want to do in your life, or to make the change, or to celebrate how far you've come, whatever it is. I just believe we have so much power in moving other women to be their best versions.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's perfectly said. I'm not gonna add anything else to it. And I know you also have things that you gotta get to, so I'm gonna be respectful of your time as well. And I just want to say thank you once again, Carrie, for coming on to my podcast. What I think the third time now?
Yeah, I think well
Yeah.
we did a live kind of a training session about podcasting, and then I think I was
Oh
on
yeah.
earlier, and then Yana's been on my podcast. We're sisters, we're soul sisters. We didn't know each other like 2 years ago. We didn't
Yeah.
know each other. Here we are. We're on the same kind of mission, and I just want
Yeah.
to let you know how much I appreciate you and you having me on, but just the bigger vision. I just
Yeah.
love what you do, and I also just love to get your shit together. Like, I just think that's the greatest. Like, what,
Yeah.
how else can you say that?
I honestly, I say it every day because the way I start my day, and I shit you not, is how do I want to get my shit together today? So
Yeah.
that's what the question I ask earlier is like, how do you get you shit together like in real life now? For me,
Yeah.
I asked that question. How do I want to get my shit together? Because if I say, how do I need to, that's very low energy. I ain't doing shit for that. And right? And then the other part is like I love humor and I like to like I said, I used to dim my light not to make other people uncomfortable. And now I'm like, let's have fun with it. So one example, my husband and I at the cottage, we went and we stopped at LCBO to get some drinks and we're sitting at the cashier and the guy comes to the cashier. He goes, you want to hear something funny? Cashier in front of us. So we're checking out, right? And he just comes. He goes, you want to hear something funny? He goes, there's a Ford truck standing in the parking lot that says, get your shit together on it. And he laughs. He goes, that's a Ford truck. And he's talking. We're having conversation. And I go to my husband after like a minute or so. I'm like, should we tell him this is our truck? My husband, I can tell he's a little uncomfortable. And then this man is even more uncomfortable. And of course, all of us are laughing because, hey, you didn't think you were going to be talking to the actual owners of it, but here you are. And now I have a story to tell. But this is literally what it's about. And I'm like, I asked my husband because he's a mechanic for Ford. what's wrong with Ford? Right? And of course, every label of the car, any brand, there's always something like uh, always to fix or some stupid sayings that they have around. I'm like, oh, okay, now it makes sense why he was like laughing that, these cars can get their shit together, and yet here you are, he put a sticker on it. And I appreciate you too, Carrie, very much. And I learned so much from you every time we have a conversation in 2 years. Like, hey, time just flies by so quickly
Right? It
before we
does.
know it.
We got to have fun. That's the
Yeah.
whiskey part. I love that. The whiskey part is having the fun. But here's one more thing. Just a minute. I know you got to go, and so do I. But the bet on me. I want to go
Yeah.
back to this just analogy for people to hang on to. And then here's the thing about symbols. So I knew that this is a song also. So the bet on me is something, but it's a song.
Mm.
And my two symbols are queen and butterfly. Okay?
Hmm.
Guess the artist of the song Bet on Me. Her
Butterfly
name,
Queen?
Queen Butterfly. So
Perfect.
if you need inspiration, go listen to that song. I don't get paid to promote her, but I love the song. Go listen to it, bet on yourself, and just, live the best life because nobody else is going to do it for you.
Yeah, and we wouldn't want them to because they're gonna do it wrong. How
Oh,
many times do we ask someone to do something for us and they did it wrong? So you do not want no one to do your life for you. You gotta do it yourself and pull those big girl panties on as high as you need to
yeah.
and go get your shit together and
Get your
get
shit together.
her done. So follow Carrie, check out her podcasts, Wheat Fields, Wisdom, and Whiskey. And her information can be found on careyharris.com. I'll put all the links down below around the podcast so it'll be easy to find and you don't have to search her like, what did you say? What'd you say? Down below. Everything is there. And thank you, everybody. And make sure that you subscribe to this podcast and share it with a friend, with a family member, or with a stranger if you feel comfortable, that might benefit from this episode, especially if it spoke to you. And until next time, keep showing up, keep becoming. You are not behind. You are not too old. You're not too young. You're not too late. You did not miss the train. The train doesn't even exist. You are right on time and you're exactly where you are meant to be, even if it sucks. Until next time, have an amazing the rest of your day, everybody. Thanks again, Carrie, and bye.
Thank you, Yana. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.